the lake house. Saturday morning, 6:43 a.m. The call came at dawn. Your father collapsed. Heart attack. He's asking for both of you. Marcus drives up from Chicago while Daniel flies in from Seattle. 8 years of silence converging on the shoreline where they spent every childhood summer, where their father taught them to fish and fight and forgive before they forgot how to do the last one. The ambulance has already left for regional medical 40 miles away, but something in the 911 dispatcher's voice told them both the same thing. This might be their last chance to say what should have been said years ago. They arrive at the gravel driveway simultaneously. Marcus in his Tesla, Daniel in a rental sedan. 8 years of careful avoidance reduced to this moment of inevitable convergence. The fight that broke them was over money. Of course it was. Their mother's inheritance 8 years ago. Marcus felt Daniel had manipulated their grieving father into changing the will. Daniel believed Marcus was trying to steal what rightfully belonged to the family business. Lawyers got involved. Harsh words were exchanged. Lines were drawn that neither brother knew how to cross. Now their father has perhaps hours left, and they're still prisoners of their own pride. You know this standoff, don't you? That place where love and stubbornness collide. Where the longer you wait to forgive, the harder it becomes to remember how. Where someone has to move first, and neither person wants to be the vulnerable one. Where death becomes the deadline for decisions that should have been made years ago. At 2:17 a.m., everything changes. Their father Samuel wakes up with unusual clarity. The morphine has worn off, and for the first time in days, his eyes are sharp and focused. "Where are my boys?" he whispers to the night nurse. Marcus is dozing in the family lounge. Daniel is in his car in the parking lot, unable to leave but unwilling to go inside while his brother is there. The nurse calls them both. For once, neither argues about timing or territory. Their father is asking for them. They enter room 237 together for the first time in 8 years, and Samuel's face lights up with a joy that makes their conflict seem suddenly devastatingly small. "My boys," he says, reaching out hands that shake with weakness, but grasp with fierce love. "I've been waiting for you." Marcus and Daniel stand on opposite sides of the bed, but for the first time in years, they're looking at each other across the space that holds their dying father. "I need to tell you both something," Samuel says, his voice gaining strength from urgency. "I don't have much time and I can't leave knowing my sons hate each other because of me." "Dad, you don't need to," Marcos begins. "Yes, I do." Samuel's voice is firm. "The money you fought over, it's gone. Lost it in bad investments 2 years ago. There's nothing left to inherit except debt and this broken family. You destroyed your relationship over money that doesn't exist, over a fortune that evaporated while you were too proud to speak to each other." The silence that follows is profound. 8 years of resentment colliding with the reality that their great conflict was built on a foundation that no longer exists. Daniel is the first to speak. Marcus, His voice breaks. I've missed you. God, I've missed my brother. Marcus looks at Daniel across their father's bed, seeing not the enemy he's constructed in his mind, but the boy who used to build forts with him, who taught him to throw a curveball, who was his best man at his wedding. I've missed you too, Marcus whispers. I don't even remember why I was so angry. What happens next is what their father has been praying for every night for 8 years. His sons reach across his bed and grasp each other's hands, their father's body becoming the bridge that reconnects them. I'm sorry, they say simultaneously, and then they're both crying. Not the careful tears of appropriate grief, but the deep sobs of relief that come when a long-carried burden finally falls away. Samuel closes his eyes and smiles. Now I can go in peace. In the parable of the prodigal son, everyone focuses on the son who left and the father who welcomed him home. But there's another character whose story is just as important. The older brother who almost missed the celebration because he was too angry to come inside. The brother who had to choose between his resentment and his relationship, between being right and being reconciled, who had to decide whether his grievances were worth more than his family. Samuel dies peacefully 6 hours later, his sons on either side of his bed, taking turns sharing stories about the man who loved them both too much to let them stay divided. They plan his funeral together. For the first time in 8 years, they sit at the same table, making decisions about flowers and music and pallbearers. He orchestrated this, Daniel says, as they review the obituary. Even dying, he was still trying to parent us. He succeeded, Marcus replies. It just took him dying to get us to listen. 3 months after the funeral, Marcus and Daniel start a new business together. Not because they need the money, Samuel was right about the debt, but because they've discovered that working together feels like coming home. We lost 8 years, Daniel reflects during one of their weekly dinners, a tradition they've established to ensure they never drift apart again. 8 years of birthdays and holidays and milestones because we were too proud to admit we were wrong. Dad used to say that pride is the most expensive emotion, Marcus remembers. I finally understand what he meant. Reconciliation always requires someone to move first, someone to risk rejection, to extend the hand, to say the words that could be refused. Someone to choose vulnerability over vindication, relationship over righteousness, love over the luxury of staying wounded. Someone to become like the father in the parable, running toward the estranged one instead of waiting for them to come home. Tonight, maybe you're standing outside your own reunion. Maybe there's someone you haven't spoken to in months or years because of words that can't be taken back. Hurts that feel too deep to bridge, pride that's become too comfortable to abandon. Maybe you're waiting for them to make the first move. Maybe they're waiting for you. Maybe you're both standing in the hallway outside the celebration, missing the party because neither of you wants to be the first to walk through the door. Maybe death is the deadline that finally makes you realize what you're losing by staying lost. Because some conversations can't wait for the perfect moment. Some apologies can't wait for the other person to deserve them. Some relationships can't survive the luxury of being right. Sometimes love requires you to move first, to cross the space, to risk everything for the chance that what was broken can be healed. To choose reconciliation over the comfort of staying wounded. The prodigal father didn't wait for his son to arrive. He saw him coming from far off and ran to meet him. The question isn't whether you've been wronged. The question is whether you're willing to run toward healing before it's too late to try.